Hello everyone, this is Mr. Co with a quick video on some tips and tricks for proper French horn care and maintenance. You should do this whenever you are encountering any issues that arise on your French horn. I'm going to cover two things today. The first one is if you're hearing any kind of gurgling or popping sounds, how to release any water that is in your French horn. And the second one is if your valves get stuck down or are not moving as fast as you'd like them to, how to oil those valves properly. All right, so the first step, and this is a tricky one on the French horn, the first step is how to remove any water. So I have my French horn here. As we all know, the French horn is very circular, and it's very tricky sometimes to find if you're blowing and you're hearing this kind of popping or gurgling sounds, that means that there's water stuck in here. And it can be very tricky to find where that water is trapped, all right? There's a lot of different spots it can be. So I'll show you a bunch of different tips and tricks for how to release it. The first thing I would do is get a trash can. I'm sitting over a trash can right now because you don't want that water, if it escapes, to go on your clothes or your shoes or the ground. So we'll do this over the trash can always. So the first way that I like to do it, because it's a circle, I like to think of this as like a steering wheel on a car. And the first thing you're gonna do is kind of just spin it in a circle a couple times one way. And if anything comes out, great. And then a couple times the other way. And this is probably the easiest, less amount of work that you have to do, least amount of work, I should say, that you have to do, where you might get some of the water to come out that way, because gravity is kind of allowing the water to go through the tubing on the French horn and maybe escape. This does not always work. Sometimes it's stuck in there and you have to do some other things. So if that worked for you, great, you can pause right there. If not, we can continue on here. There are many different slides on the trombone. I'm sorry, on the French horn. I just did the trombone video. And so we're gonna start with this one. This is called the main tuning slide. And we're just gonna kind of pull that out. And then you're just gonna kind of tip it over the trash can. I just got a little bit there. So that's one spot that it might be hidden. And then if we spin it kind of the other way, we also have these slides right here, 1, 2, 3. Each of them are connected to one of your valves up here. So we have the first valve slide, which is this guy, the second valve slide, which is this guy, and the third valve slide, which is this guy. So if you're going to remove any of these to check for water, it is important that you press down the key first. This kind of helps with the pressure of air that's inside your instrument as well, so that we don't damage anything. So I have my first valve down. I'm going to pull out the first valve slide and tip it over. And remember, this needs to go back this way. So the slide, the tubing, should be kind of facing out, and this one should be facing that way. If you put it back in this way, where it's facing the inside of the instrument, that's not correct. So let's put it back the correct way. Same thing with the second valve slide. I'm gonna hold this, we'll pull the ring. Oops, a little shorter there. Empty anything that could be in there. Sometimes too, I'll give it a quick blow, and I do have the mouthpiece off. Just in case some of it is close but is not coming out, you can kind of blow and see if anything comes out. And then the last valve slide here, the third valve slide, this big guy. And we'll give that a good shake and a quick, see if anything comes out. So that should be able to relieve any of the water, release any of the water, I should say, that could be in your horn. All right, the second thing I wanted to talk about was if any of your valves get kind of stuck, like they stay like this and they're not popping back up, or they're halfway down like this and they're just not moving like you want them to, I'm gonna kind of spin this around so we're on the back side of the horn where the strings are. And I'll choose this guy right here, the third valve, as my example. So if you notice, when I'm pressing the third valve, you see that this is moving around, back and forth, back and forth. That is where we're gonna wanna oil, right kind of in this area right there, so that we can get this moving and it should be a little bit more smooth. So I'm gonna take some oil, which you should have. Yours might say valve oil, it might say rotor oil, it's all the same stuff. And go ahead and take the cap off of that. And we're gonna just put truly one teeny tiny little dab right on the rotor. This is called the rotor, by the way. And then we're just going to kind of move it back and forth. Now it might take a little bit of effort at first if it's really sticky until it starts to get a little smoother, but we want to work it in. So you're going to press that a bunch of times in a row just to make sure that the oil gets all throughout that rotor, and we're moving. All right, and that should fix any issues you have with sticky valves. So if you have any further questions, feel free to bring it into class, and I'm happy to help diagnose the problem, see if I can fix it, or give you some tips on how best to fix it. All right, happy practicing.